Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting informed. We handle the sources, you get the key insights nice and quick.
That's the plan.
Today, we're diving into From Nothing to Something, starting up when you have no money, support, or business background. It's by the mind unbound.
Right, and our mission really is to pull out the essential stuff for you, our listener, the learner.
Especially on how to launch a business when, well, resources are tight. We're focusing particularly on the Indian context here.
Think of this as your kind of cheat sheet, getting you to those core entrepreneurial ideas, maybe some surprising facts, but without drowning you in information.
Yeah, we want those light bulb moments for you, those insights that clarify how to move your own ideas forward even when things seem, stacked against you.
And this deep dive really zeroes in on the practical side. It draws from someone who's spent, over 30 years watching businesses succeed and fail right there in India.
So a real on-the-ground perspective. The book speaks directly to those of you who have that brilliance, that hunger, a great idea.
But maybe lack the cash or the family support or just feel a bit lost on where to even start.
Exactly. And the author's background engineering, management strategy, seeing how things actually work in India, that's pretty valuable context, I think.
It absolutely is. And the core promise here, both from the book and for our deep dive today, is tangible.
Okay, what are we talking about?
Well, things like a working business model that needs basically zero capital, a toolkit for that survival mindset you need, clarity on your own skills, your ideas, and practical hacks specifically for the Indian scene that go beyond just theory.
Okay, sounds like exactly what's needed. So where do we start?
Let's get stuck into chapter 1. It's called Entrepreneurship and Harsh Realities.
Right. Setting the scene.
Pretty much. It dives straight into the challenges many new entrepreneurs face in India, especially if you're coming from, say, a middle or lower income background.
Where starting a business isn't just a dream job, it's
often about survival, about making ends meet.
So what are these harsh ground realities the book talks about?
Well, it lays them out clearly. You're often looking at zero starting money, maybe little or no support from family or friends. Sometimes they're just worried.
Sure, that makes sense.
Then there's the high risk of failure, which brings huge mental pressure, and even the possibility of being exploited.
Wow. Okay, so it's not glossing over the difficulties.
Not at all. The author stresses that for many, starting up in these conditions is a fight for dignity, for income, for independence.
The book also contrasts some common myths with this reality, doesn't it? There's a table, I think.
Yes, exactly. It tackles things like the idea you must have money to start.
And the reality is?
You need a plan. A solid plan is your primary asset, or the myth that a great idea is enough.
Which we all know isn't quite true.
Right. It's the groundwork, the execution that really matters more.
What about risk?
Yeah, the myth that risk just equals failure. The book counters that calculated risks are necessary for growth.
And the family support point.
Interestingly, it suggests that while you might expect family to be your biggest cheerleaders, initially, they might actually be the most discouraging, often out of genuine concern for you.
That paints a challenging picture. Are there examples?
Definitely. Case study 1.1 is about Sunita's tea stall, a woman in Patna. She started with just 200 rupees.
200 rupees?
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. Selling tea from a cycle, no experience, no backing, no fixed place.
And how did that go?
Through sheer survival instinct and just showing up every day, consistently, she turned it into a roadside stall, serving like 200 customers daily.
That's incredible growth from such a small start. How did she manage the expansion?
Resourcefulness.
Yeah.
She borrowed a stove, utensils, partnered with a local bakery on commission to offer snacks.
Smart.
And crucially, she plowed every rupee earned right back into the business at the end of each day. Day-end reinvestment.
It really shows what persistence can do.
And that leads perfectly into this idea of developing a survival mindset.
Which isn't just panic mode, right?
No. It's about grit, learning, endurance. Key traits mentioned are things like delayed gratification, understanding it takes time,
Okay.
using fear as fuel, not paralysis, resilience when things are chaotic, and constantly learning, staying humble, self-education.
That makes sense. It's a proactive approach to hardship.
Precisely. And there's another case study, Ravi the mechanic.
Tell me about Ravi.
He was a school dropout, became a mechanic's apprentice, saved up 5,000 rupees.
Still not a huge amount to start a business.
Right. He started a roadside repair service. No shop, no banner, just his phone number painted on a wall.
That's minimal.
Totally. But within 3 years, his skills and persistence paid off. He had his own garage, 2 helpers working for him.
These stories really drive home that mindset point. It's powerful.
Absolutely. They set the stage for what's possible even in tough circumstances.
Okay, so after facing the realities, where does the book go next?
Chapter 2 shifts focus inward. It's called Finding Your Inner Entrepreneur.
Ah, so self-assessment.
Exactly. The core idea is that success isn't just about the idea or the market. It starts with knowing yourself.
Why is that so critical?
Well, the book argues many ventures fail because the founder didn't really understand their own personality, their strengths, weaknesses.
Things like work style, patience.
Yes, precisely. How you handle work, your patience level, how much risk you're truly comfortable with. Knowing this helps you figure out the right path for you.
Like whether you should go it alone or find a partner.
Or even lead within someone else's setup. It's about finding the right fit.
Is there a tool for this?
There is.
Yeah.
Tool 2.1 is the Entrepreneur Readiness Questionnaire. Simple yes-no questions.
Like what?
Things like, do you tend to take initiative? Are you okay with uncertainty? Can you teach yourself new things? Do you finish tasks without supervision?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and the scoring isn't about pass-fail. Getting more than 3 yes answers suggests a strong internal drive. But a lower score just highlights areas you might want to work on. It's about awareness.
That seems useful. It connects your personality to the demands of being an entrepreneur.
Exactly. And then Tool 2.2 introduces different entrepreneur types.
Oh, interesting. What are they?
There's the hustler, action taker, gritty, maybe risks burnout, but often good for self-employment.
Okay.
Then the dreamer, visionary, creative, but might struggle with execution, so often needs a co-founder to handle the practical side.
Makes sense. Who else?
The planner, organized, steady, risk, maybe overthinking things, often suited to services or trading.
Right. And the last one?
The helper, empathetic, loyal, might tend to undercharge, could thrive in a group enterprise or a support role. The idea is to see which description resonates most with you.
It helps you understand your natural inclinations. Is there a story to illustrate this?
Yes, Case Study 2.1 is Dev's story. He was introverted, struggled with public speaking, and failed twice trying to run businesses solo.
So what changed?
He partnered with an outgoing friend. Dev handled the back-end accounts, operations. His partner took care of marketing and sales. Together, they built a successful tutoring business.
So self-awareness led to finding the right structure.
Exactly. Knowing his weaknesses helped him find someone who complemented them. It highlights finding the right role for yourself.
The book also talks about readiness versus fantasy, right? Tool 2.3.
Yes, a really important distinction. It contrasts those unrealistic dreams, getting rich quick, blindly following trends, thinking you have to do it all alone.
With the reality of being truly ready.
Which means understanding it's usually a slow build, leveraging the skills you already have, and knowing when and how to ask for support.
That sounds much more grounded.
It is. And Case Study 2.2, Farrah's Flip, shows another side of this.
What happened with Farrah?
She was set on opening her own boutique, designed a clothing line, invested savings. But it failed.
Oh, dear.
But through that failure, she realized something crucial. Her passion wasn't running the business. It was the design itself.
Ah, so a pivot based on self-discovery.
Exactly. She then found success and fulfillment working as a lead designer in someone else's startup.
So sometimes entrepreneurship is also about knowing what not to pursue yourself.
Precisely. It's about aligning your path with who you are.
Okay, the self-knowledge piece is clearly vital. What comes after that? Chapter 3.
Chapter 3 gets really practical. It's called Zero Capital, Infinite Potential.
Now, this sounds like the core premise, how to start with basically no money.
Exactly. This is probably what many listeners are really keen to hear about.
So what's the first step, the mindset?
Yes, it introduces the zero rupee mindset. It fundamentally challenges that idea of waiting for the right time, enough money, the perfect location, the full team.
Which can lead to never starting at all.
Right. The book points out, again, that many huge Indian business successes started incredibly small. Just an idea, serious work ethic, and the drive to begin.
So how do you translate that mindset into action?
Tool 3.1 is the Zero Capital Launch Planner. It's a step-by-step guide.
Okay, break it down for us.
First, list your skills. What can you actually do? Then, pick a business model that costs next to nothing.
Like a service.
Could be. Then, importantly, ask potential customers if they need what you offer. Don't just assume.
Right. Market validation on a micro scale.
Then, offer free samples or a trial. Build trust, get feedback, collect testimonials from those first happy users.
Okay, gather proof.
And then use those results, that proof, to make your paid offer.
That sounds very doable. Is there an example of this?
Yep, case study 3.1. Minoshi's micro start. This was during lockdown. He was unemployed, had 200 rupees and his phone.
So very limited resources.
Extremely. He offered free ceiling fan cleaning, repair, and reinstallation in his housing society, just using his existing skills.
Free initially.
Yes, to get started. Within 3 days, people were asking for his paid service. He earned 8,000 rupees in the first month.
Wow, with almost zero investment, just his time and skill.
Exactly. It shows the power of meeting a local need with what you have.
What kinds of business models fit this zero to low cost approach?
Tool 3.2 lists several. Skill-based services are big, tutoring, repairs, maybe writing or design.
Okay.
Brokering, connecting people, like finding tenants for landlords or workers for jobs, and taking a small cut.
Commission-based selling, maybe online?
Definitely. Selling products for others on platforms like WhatsApp or marketplaces. Also, renting out things you own or finding creative ways to reuse items.
This leads to the earn first rule, doesn't it?
It does. This is a key principle the book pushes.
Hmm.
Offer the work first, maybe that free sample or trial we mentioned.
Get results, get testimonials.
Right, get that social proof. Then use that proof to pitch and charge people.
It flips the usual model of spending money before you make any.
Completely. It avoids that common, often fatal early mistake.
Is there another case study for this earn first idea?
Yes, Radha's WhatsApp order model. Case study 3.2. She wanted to start a tiffin service, but had no kitchen space.
Okay, a common problem.
So she borrowed her neighbor's kitchen for just 2 hours a day, cooked sample tiffins for friends, took photos, got their feedback, shared it all via WhatsApp. Within a week, she had paying customers.
And she could then afford to pay for the kitchen use.
Exactly. The initial orders funded the cost. She earned before she spent significantly.
That's a brilliant example of starting lean.
And the book expands on this with the Euro 500 Start Idea Generator. It links common skills and resources to potential businesses.
Give me some examples.
Okay, good communication skills.
Yeah.
That could translate to freelance tutoring or maybe remote sales help.
Got it.
Just a basic phone. You could start reselling products using WhatsApp groups. Repair skills. Offer a doorstep service in your neighborhood.
Local knowledge.
Could be useful for local job brokering or helping with deliveries or errands. It's about seeing the potential in what you already have access to.
It really broadens the definition of resources.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, Chapter 3 gives you a 1-week action plan.
A concrete first step.
Yes. Choose one of these low-cost models. Craft a simple message offering your service. Send it out to people you know.
Offer that initial free service.
Collect feedback. Share the positive comments online or with others. Then, repeat the process, but this time with a price attached.
It makes getting started feel much less daunting. Just 1 week, small actions.
That's the goal, to get you moving without needing that big chunk of capital up front.
Yeah, okay, so wrapping up these first few chapters then, what are the main takeaways we've covered?
Well, I think first is acknowledging those harsh realities of starting lean, particularly in India. It's important to be realistic.
Right, understanding the context.
Second, the critical role of self-awareness. Knowing yourself helps you pick the right path, the right structure. Hustler, planner, helper,
Finding your fit.
And third, maybe the most empowering part, is this idea that you can start with zero capital, leveraging skills, the earn first mindset.
Taking those small, practical steps laid out in the planner and the action plan.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from what you lack to what you have.
So the core message really seems to be about resourcefulness, wouldn't you say? And work ethic.
Definitely. Those are presented as far more crucial than a big bank balance, especially for navigating the Indian business environment, providing real value consistently.
Okay, so a final thought then, to leave our listener, the learner, with something to mull over based on this.
How about this? Think about your own non-monetary capital. What skills, knowledge, connections, even just time do you already possess?
Identify your most valuable non-cash asset.
Yes. And then what's one tiny zero-cost action you could take today based on that asset to just begin your entrepreneurial journey? Just one small step.
That's a great challenge. And obviously the book goes deeper into validating ideas, finding customers, growing sustainably.
For sure. This is just the start. There's plenty more practical advice in the full book if this has sparked your interest.